framework. And today we have Dr. Sushma Sharma as our resource person for this session. Dr. Sushma is a practicing obstetrician and gynecologist, including abortion services, and is affiliated with a leading national NGO and SRH provision. We welcome you, Dr. Sushma, and we are very delighted to.
Thank you.
Yeah,
it's nice to have such a intellectual and young audience. It's so nice, so enthusiastic to learn everything.
Yes, we are also looking forward to it. And
yeah.
How we are imagining this session is first to have a question and answer round where we would like to clarify some of our queries related to abortion services.
Correct.
And then followed by Dr. Sushma would be presenting a presentation.
Yeah.
And then we can go ahead with a discussion round.
Correct.
Yeah. Maybe we can start with a question and answer round.
Correct.
If anyone has any query that they want to address, you can go ahead. We encourage you. Okay, why don't I start?
Yeah, you start.
Maybe, Doctor, you can tell us what are some of the rights that abortion seekers have? What are the questions that that they should be expecting from a gynecologist, and what are some of the questions that a gynecologist cannot ask an abortion?
Cannot ask, correct.
Yeah.
See, number one thing the doctor which the doctor has to know, the gynecologist has to know, is the rough age of the the client. And about this age thing, we have to be we have to accept whatever age the client says, that my age is 17, 18, 19, whatever. The provider has no right to look for the age proof. That is very important for the the patient or the client. We call them clients in our this thing, but they are patients or clients, whatever. So we don't have the right to see their Aadhaar card. It is totally illegal. If the provider asks for your Aadhaar card or your any of your I card, you don't have to disclose your identity. The MTP Act says that it's a 100% confidential this thing procedure. So it has to be kept confidential. The doctor cannot ask you about your Aadhaar card. So these questions the doctor cannot ask. Number two is the provider cannot compel the patient or the client to disclose about the status of the marriage. Like if she is unmarried or married, that is none of the doctor's business. If the client says that she is 18 years, one has to proceed with that information only. And the consent form. Everybody must be knowing that there are 3-4 steps of an abortion. I think we should proceed one by one.
Yes, I think that would also
question
help us
part. The doctor cannot ask you about your where is your what's your age proof. You cannot ask you about the identity. The doctor has to believe whatever age and whatever name you are telling, and the doctor has to believe you. That is one thing very important. And plus, if you say that you are married and the person who is accompanying you is your husband, the doctor has no right to probe into your, neither the doctor has to ask for your marriage certificate. Because some doctors, they are doing all this. And this is, we have to, the MTP Act is our Bible. We have to follow the MTP Act. Whatever is written in the MTP Act, that is to be followed if you are going for the MTP procedure. I think we should first clarify whether they are clear about the abortion, what is an abortion as such and what is MTP. Are they clear, everybody? If everybody, what do you understand by the word abortion and what do you understand by the term MTP or medical termination of pregnancy? This is the most important thing which one has to know. Anybody has any doubt? Or can I ask? Aishwarya, you tell please. Aishwarya, I can see few names.
Ma'am?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm correct, but like as much as my understanding goes, ma'am, abortion can be done both through like surgically and like through a medication.
That is a yeah. But
Yes.
as such, the terminology, what do you
Yes.
understand by the
So,
term
so
abortion?
medical termination of pregnancy, what I know, what I understand is I mean, when it involves the process of surgery.
No. This is why I wanted to ask you. Abortion is a generalized term. What is the meaning of abortion? It means the pregnancy is not continuing till the term. Like it will not be continuing till 9 months. It will be the move is aborted. We say that the thing is aborted. So the MTP, the pregnancy has aborted in between. And what is that age where the abortion has occurred? What is the definition of abortion? Which side of the gestation we call it an abortion and which side we call it a premature delivery? That is also important. These two things, if you know, then you'll understand nothing. What is the age of viability? What is the meaning of the age of viability? Any idea?
Uh, could I share?
Yes.
I have
Yes.
the basic knowledge of it, but I think abortion, in terms of like the termination of pregnancy, it's according to the act is 24 weeks for the new act that is coming. But before that, it was 20 weeks. It will be called as FTP. But a premature birth is basically after 7 months or a stillborn. That is my understanding again, not
No,
very sure.
see, I'm
Uh,
telling you now.
can I
There
add
is an
something?
age of viability. Age of viability means supposing the fetus is delivered at this age, it will be able to survive. It will be able to survive with AIDS, medical aids, or whatever. So the age of viability at present, previously it was 28 weeks. Like if it delivers before 28, then the child won't survive, the fetus won't survive. But now it is 24 weeks. So 24 weeks is the age of viability. So anything before 24 weeks is considered abortion. And abortion can be of different types. One type of abortion is MTP, but MTP is abortion is a wider term, right? So wider term abortion, the termination of pregnancy before the age of viability is called an abortion. And an abortion can be either a spontaneous abortion or an induced abortion. And MTP comes in induced abortion. So what is the key word which I want to hear from you people? The concept of abortion has to be clear in your mind before you do the advocacy. What is the one word which I want to hear from you? When do you call it MTP? When do you call it abortion?
When it's done in a medical setting, like a medical health,
It is
medical.
always done in a medical setting. Even if it is done with the pills, you have to take the the advice of the doctor only.
Yeah, so when it is intended.
Correct. Intended and why there's such a big hue and cry about MTP Act? Why was an MTP Act in the first place formed only? Why was the need? Because
Separated from the miscarriage, or how to define miscarriage versus abortion.
Also fatality and like other kinds of problems that pregnant person might have.
main thing.
Does it have
If
to be consensual?
no, it is
Basically,
the
to separate it from the criminalization of women who, like under the miscarriage, the IPC.
no. See, the main thing we have, the main problem is the child has to be alive. If it is an alive pregnancy, the fetus is alive, and then you want to terminate it, then it comes under the jurisdiction of the MTP Act. If it is already dead, got it? If the fetus is not viable, not doesn't have a heartbeat, if it is not alive in the womb, then if the procedure is facilitated by the doctor, then it will be a different type of abortion. It will be a different abortion. But if it is a alive pregnancy and the doctor has to intervene, then it is called the medical termination of pregnancy. And the MTP Act is for this only. Why is this thing so? Because it is a alive pregnancy. We cannot become a murderer. No, if it is a live pregnancy, there has to be some rules and regulations, some laws to govern the how, why to terminate and how to terminate and where to terminate and who will terminate. Correct. And this is all what is MTP Act. So before doing anything, before knowing anything, you have to know the MTP Act. Is it clear? If it is a alive fetus, if the pregnancy is alive, then it will come under the MTP. It will be called MTP. And if it is not alive, then it will be called other type of abortion. So other types of abortion, what types of other abortions you have familiar with? It can be a failed medical abortion. Like she has taken the MTP pills, but they have not succeeded in terminating the pregnancy. They have not succeeded in making the fetus like the fetus is still growing. So it is a failed medical, or it will be a incomplete abortion. Like she has taken the pills, most of the products that she has expelled, but few parts are there inside. So that is a incomplete abortion. So why do we have to know all this? Because supposing there's an incomplete abortion, a candidate of an incomplete abortion goes to a doctor for the completion of the abortion, and she does it. She doesn't have to be so particular about the rules and regulations like the MTP Act. But if it is a alive fetus and she wants termination, then the doctor has to be covered in the MTP Act. Now, what is the MTP Act?
I have some doubts. Can I ask?
Yes, please.
So, according to like whatever new information I've received just now, this is my understanding. So I'll just say it and then you can correct it later.
Yeah.
So you said that viability of fetus matters in the term when we use the term abortion or medical termination of pregnancy. So when the fetus is not viable, and that happens before 24 weeks, or if the fetus is stillborn.
Age of viability is 24 weeks. That is different.
Yeah.
That iske pehle it is called abortion, and after that it will be called premature delivery.
Acha. And
before 24 weeks.
What happens if somebody wants to get abortion done? Why will it not be called medical termination of pregnancy before the age of viability?
No, here age of viability doesn't come. Here the cardiac activity of the fetus, alive or not alive. If it is a alive fetus, like she comes with the ultrasound, which is showing that fetus has a heartbeat. Correct?
Okay.
Like Deepika is telling that alive fetus is one that has a heartbeat. She's absolutely right. The fetus, which if it has a heartbeat, then there are rules and regulations governing the termination of such a fetus. And the rules and regulations, they are understood by the MTP Act.
Okay, so the rules for alive fetus and the rules for not alive fetus, or the one that does not have like a heartbeat, are different.
Correct.
Okay.
Now, what is the MTP Act?
I have another doubt. I have another doubt. Percy, if we say a live fetus is one that has a heartbeat, from when a fetus develop heartbeat?
At 1.5 months only, 6 weeks.
Okay.
6 weeks, 1.5 weeks.
So before 6 weeks, the abortion has different rules, and after 6 weeks, like to get an abortion, there are different rules.
No. If it is if the pregnancy is like she has amenorrhea of 1.5 months. Amenorrhea means she has missed her periods from last 1.5 months. She doesn't have the periods. Means she's having a pregnancy of 1.5 months, and the ultrasound shows that she is having a pregnancy of 4 weeks. Then there is suspicion that it is not a live fetus. But if she is 1.5 months overdue and the ultrasound shows that there is a heartbeat, then she is 1.5 months pregnancy and it is a live fetus. So I think this is purely medical thing, so don't get into this. But for your understanding, it should be that if there is a heartbeat, then it is MTP. If there is no heartbeat, then it is other abortion. This is very important for you. Now, MTP Act, a little bit of MTP Act you should know. When was the MTP Act started? When was it formed and passed in India?
1971.
1971.
Very good. It was in 1971. So why was the need of MTP Act? because so many backstreet abortions were happening, and because of that they led to lots of female mortality and morbidity. So to curb that, government had they put this question in the parliament, and this law was passed. So this act came in 1971. So who can do the abortion? Do you have any idea? Any doctor can do.
Medical practitioner with certain guidelines.
Yeah.
It is actually defined as to who can do this. It is
Why is this important? Why is this important for a client to know? Why is this important for a prospective patient to know that who is authorized to do the MTP?
Because it is actually a proof that the person who's performing is recognized, and that it won't be a criminal offense.
Correct. Before, if supposing if the procedure is done by a doctor who doesn't come under the MTP Act, and if she has some problem with the patient, then the doctor can be sued. Supposing she has the correct degree, she is a postgraduate, or she has done MTP, she has MTP training certificate, or she has the rules. MTP Act says that she has done 25 MTPs, and 5 MTPs she has done alone, independently. So all these criteria, if they are fulfilled, and if some problem occurs in that place, then it is the legal, still it comes in the legal listing, and doctor is saved and you are also safe. So you have to know one thing which a prospective patient or a client should know before going to a place. Now, which place you should visit? Supposing you want to go for an MTP, whom should you visit? Which hospital, which doctor? What exactly things you should know?
One can visit anybody, any public health facility or private facilities which are approved.
Approved. So approved is the word. If it is suppose if it is a multinational, multi-speciality hospital, and they have not registered themselves for MTP, you should not go there. You have to seek this one particular thing, that they have the registration for MTP. And how is this registration procured? What are the rules for the registration? How do you
as a patient, how do we know if it's a
exactly
registered?
See, supposing it is displayed on the board, it is displayed that it is a government approved abortion MTP center. You have to just be sure that this word is somewhere seen in the board. Government approved MTP centers. There are many nursing homes in all the cities, right? And these nursing homes, their doctors might be qualified to perform the MTPs. They must be doing it correctly, but they have not registered themselves under the CMO. They have not registered for MTP. So this is not the correct place to go for an abortion. So how do you know? This form is called Form B. This name of this certificate which the place gets is Form B. In Form B, it is clearly written, this so and so place is a certified abortion center, certified for a medical termination of pregnancy. And this form should be displayed in the waiting hall or somewhere in the prominent location in the nursing home. So this thing is very important for the candidate, or the client should know. Correct? Is it supracortical, or you are understanding what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am, it's clear.
It's clear, no? Okay. Now, supposing this place is registered, the doctor has the correct this thing. Supposing like I have the certificate to perform the abortion, and my friend has a small clinic. She tells me, please come and do this abortion procedure in my clinic because I am not able to do it. But her place is not registered. And so I am registered. I go to that place and perform the procedure. So it will not be legal. It will be illegal. Correct? So why I'm asking this, because you have to be clear what is a legal abortion, what is an illegal abortion. What concept you have about illegal abortion, and what concept you have about legal abortion?
One that is done.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Krishna.
Oh, sorry. One that is done in regards to the MTP regulations or the rules given in the MTP Act is legal, and one that is done by a medical health professional who is certified to perform these either of the medical के लिए prescription के लिए और surgery के लिए, if the medical health provider is ये sanctioned, or like they're allowed to do it, then it's legal. And if it's done in a facility which is approved by the government.
Correct. So
then
both
it's
things have to be certified, like the person and the place both have to have the license to perform. Right?
Yes.
Now, if supposing a person wants to get an abortion done, right, and she goes to a provider, so who has the right to decide whether this abortion should happen or not? The person herself or the doctor?
Person herself.
Anybody else?
The FTP Act is entirely on the practitioner, so the medical practitioner is the one who's going to take the call.
Correct. You cannot simply go to a practitioner and you cannot ask her to terminate the pregnancy unless unless the doctor is convinced that there is one particular reason why you should get it terminated. And what are those reasons called? What are those reasons called, and how many are they? The reasons for termination?
There are few conditions.
Correct.
Like if that like if the fetus is a result of something like a sexual crime or
Yeah.
incest, if
Yeah.
that is a contraception failure in the case of married women.
Very good.
If there are any anomalies in the fetus.
Very good.
Or if that has going to have like a bad repercussion on the the pregnant person's health.
Very good. Physical health, mental health, life, rape, contraceptive failure, anomalies. These are the 6. And what are these called? Indications of abortion. So the indication of the abortion has to be decided by the provider. And if supposing the person goes and she says that I am not married, I have to study, or I am not financially well off to look after the baby, I will not be able to do it, so please get me my abortion done or my pregnancy terminated. And the doctor understands the problem. Doctor then writes the indication 3, that this continuation of this pregnancy will lead to mental harassment, which can be due to any problem, financial reason, or she has to study or anything, right? And then doctor will decide, and then she will sign, and the patient will give the consent. So in a MTP form, the abortion form, what are the requisites? What are the documents to be filled? What are the necessary documents to be filled before proceeding? This is all very technical, I think. So it's okay with you people. I feel that this is very important for you to know.
Yes, doctor. Like, I mean, we are looking for a technicality also. I mean, this is very informative.
This is I think very important, because you should not directly start writing essays unless you know the ABC. So this is ABC, and we should know it. Now, where were we? Yeah, the documentation. What documentation is important for when you proceed for MTP? There has to be
a informed consent.
Consent form. See, correct. And the consent form, how you like, supposing you go to a place, you are given the consent form, you should directly sign it or you should read it? And what is the meaning of that pura language kya hoti hai?
It has to be produced either verbally or in a written format.
Yeah.
And the doctor, the person seeking abortion and the doctor should they should interact like in detailed way. Like the person seeking abortion should be informed about it in a detailed manner.
What is that interaction called? What do we technically call that procedure? The interaction between the provider and the
counseling.
Very good. How do you define a counseling and an interaction? What is the difference between a counseling and an interaction?
Actually,
sorry. Yeah, please go ahead.
In the counseling process, actually, the emotional and physical consequences of abortion is explained by the doctor to the patient, and is all aspect of it is explained to the patient.
And then,
like not patient, the person seeking abortion.
and the this thing sign, the signature of the person, what is it called? How should we say that this is the consent? It should be an informed consent. Okay,
Yes.
so the counseling is for informed consent. So you have to give the details, like this is the plus of this thing and this is the minus, and then let the person decide whether she's okay with it, and then she'll give the consent, right? So first the doctor will be sure that it should be done, abortion. Number two, the you should give the counseling, and then the procedure details, how it is done, how much time it will take, whether she has to come alone or somebody has to come with her or whatever. So all this is given, and she has to given, she is given informed choice. She has given, we give her a choice, and then she gives the informed consent. Okay, we'll give her the choice of, here the in counseling part, the doctor will give her the choice of a medical abortion or a surgical abortion. The plus of the medical, the minus of the medical, the plus of the surgical, the minus of the surgical, and then the person will decide, and then mutually there'll be a decision that it should be done medically or surgically, today or tomorrow. We'll fix an appointment or not, or we'll give it with this medicine or that medicine. This is all has to be discussed in counseling, right? Vineet Prakash has something to ask. Please ask. Vineet. Somebody was raising hand. Vinita, ask Vineet Prakash.
No.
No?
Vineet, are you there? Do you have a question to ask?
I think accidentally.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Okay, now we are like some clarity is there, who should do it, where it should be done, and how we should proceed it. Now, one thing about the minor. What does the MTP Act say about abortion in a minor person?
Because it coincides with the POCSO Act, the consent of the minor is not really relevant there. So, an intervention is required from the guardian.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, based on how the guardian, what the guardian says, it will be carried forward.
Correct. The guardian will give the
discontinued.
consent. Okay. And one more thing which is done after abortion or after abortion on a minor. What is one important thing? Some related to some information to police. Do you have any idea?
A report has to be filed necessarily.
When?
In the case of like POCSO, like if there's any harassment or like I think when it's
should it be filed? When?
Oh, sorry, I'm not sure about if it's after, during, or before the
Before,
person.
once the person providing abortion comes to know about such instance where a person below 18 is seeking abortion, then they have to report it to the police before providing abortion. If they don't do it, then they would be liable to
No.
face.
See, this is why I'm asking this question. It need not be before the procedure. You can perform the procedure on a minor, provided her guardian is accompanying her, and then you have to just give the information to the police and take a receiving from the police. That need not be before the procedure. Even after the procedure, you can inform. The provider can inform after the procedure also, it's okay.
Also, is the process same for in case of lunatic?
Yes. Now this medical abortion is a very big menace in India, because MTP pills are available at the chemist shops, and they should not be available in the chemist shops. India is such a big country, and which is very difficult for the government to control all this. So it is available in the chemist shops, and even with the health workers also it is available in some places. So this is very dangerous in our country. What was the question, Rupal? She asked something, na, Rupal?
No, I didn't.
Actually, ma'am, I asked Aishwarya. I asked about in case of lunatic, what happens?
Yeah. A lunatic, then same guardian will give the consent.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Just a minute, I'll come in a minute. 1 minute.
Yeah, like as Biraja just pointed out, we don't use the word lunatic. We use the word mentally ill person.
Actually, I was going by the act. I didn't mean that.
Oh yeah, sure. So like even the it was also amended, I think, in 2000.
In 2002.
Yeah.
This was.
Yeah, I'm back.
So, doctor, so I also wanted to ask, like, as a medical practitioner, what are some of the legal barriers that you must have encountered while providing services? I mean, of course, there is POXO, and we need, as a medical practitioner, you also need consent. So, was there any, difficulties that you encountered while providing such service?
Like sometimes what happens, the patient comes alone. She's a small, young girl in the teens, and the girl comes, and along with her comes one of the friends, female friend or male friend, whatever. It is very difficult for us. Sometimes we have to give general anesthesia. So these problems we have faced few times. Like the accompanying the children, the friends accompanying her, they are also so young and so poor things. They are so petrified. So it has become very difficult for us also. So many times we have to send the attendant along with the girl to her home also at times, so that she is safe at home. So sometimes these things happen. Otherwise, legally, if we follow the MTP Act, we don't have any legal issues. We don't have. One thing is also there. Sometimes we have faced this problem, like the girl is in a relation with somebody, she gets it terminated, and in the form or consent form, she has mentioned that she is either married. Sometimes they get right, and we have written husband. Sometimes whatever, and then they afterwards she sues the friend for a rape case. Then we are called in the police station, and then there's a legal thing where we have to just go and explain. But we are, as such, that it's not a we have just identify the person, and that obviously it's not possible for us, for the doctor, to identify whether this person accompanied her or not. So these things are handled properly. The experienced doctors, they know how to handle such situations. The new ones, they might get scared of all this, because such things are happening every day.
Okay, I have a follow-up question for this. You were also saying in the beginning that whether the abortion seeker is married or not married is not something the doctor can ask.
Yes.
The doctor has to believe whatever she or they may be saying.
Yeah.
However, in the MTP right now, because the 2020 amendment is not in the Rajya Sabha yet, right now it still says a married woman, contraceptive failure ke case mein, it has to be a married woman and her husband.
Only one indication will be added. Like when this new act comes, no, when this addition will be done, then the clause in which it says that only contraceptive failure is for married women will be removed. This is the proposal.
Yeah. No, so my question is that since till now it is not there in the act yet, even then, how is it that the doctor cannot ask for a proof of marriage?
Because MTP Act doesn't say whether married or not married. It says only the age. It is doctor's business to know whether she is 18 or not. Otherwise, it is not doctor's business to know, because she has to follow the MTP Act. That is why.
Okay. Himani, if you have a question, please go ahead.
Yeah, so Sushma ma'am, since you mentioned that, medical procedures are medical pills which are used in abortion are freely available, although it's not legal. So I wanted to know that obviously it's not like a legal procedure, that it's not legal for a woman to perform this procedure on her own in like her private space. But besides the legal aspect, is it also a health concern? Like, is it medically
very big health issue? Like, see, sometimes what happens, the girl, she doesn't know how many months she's pregnant, though she is 2.5 months overdue, right? But maybe she has a pregnancy of 4 months, because like the last period which she had, it must have been scanty, and she must have mistaken it for normal periods, though she was pregnant before that. So and if she takes the abortion pills by herself, she doesn't know how many weeks is the pregnancy. She's taken the abortion pill without getting the ultrasound done, and she starts bleeding at home. Then there's be a big problem. It will be a health life risk to her. So you have to consult the doctor before starting the procedure, and she has to rule out whether these things are not there, and medically also she's fit. Then only she can be given the pills or the surgical abortion, whatever is the gestation, whatever is the situation. So by herself is very risky. Taking by your on your own the medical pills is very risky.
I think Viraja has a question.
Yeah, actually, I have two questions. First question is that the MTP Act gives 6 indication that who can access abortion. So, as a practitioner, like, what is your experience? Have you, in any situation, have you found that sometimes it limits certain kind of people to get abortion done? And second question would be in the context of POXO and MTP, that how in your experience as you practice, have you ever found that in both the acts, because as you said that there is no clear mention whether the medical person has to report it before or after, and there are as these two laws overlap each other, does it anyway limits the like right to abortion of a person who is below 18?
Problem is, in our country, everything is not as clear as it should be. As in the document, it's not, the practical thing is different from the theory. Like supposing the doctor goes to the if we send our representative just to give them information that we have conducted the abortion on a minor, and this is the information report, they will start harassing the police people. They'll start harassing us, and if the name obviously we have to write the name of the minor, they'll start harassing them also. So this is a very difficult situation. Number two, the police stations, they are not even aware which person has to take this information, who is the correct person. They don't have that knowledge also. So this thing has to be clear in our system. This clarity is not there with the police people also. We have faced this problem many times. Actually, what happened, I asked the police people only, some people who I met, I asked them the correct person whom we should inform. They told me that there is a counselor in the police station, each police station of your zone. Like if your clinic is in the South Delhi, the South Zone police station must be having a counselor. You have to either inform the counselor or the juvenile police. So this clarity is not written anywhere. So how will a normal person, a normal doctor, how will a person come to know? So what happens usually, these minors, they are not given the like facility of the abortion. Usually the doctor says that you go to a government setup because we won't be able to do it because of the scare only. So this thing is there. This problem is everybody's facing. And one thing is there, supposing the girl is 17, right? And everybody knows that if you say you're 17, the doctor will be hesitant to perform the abortion. So mostly they come and say that we are 18 years. And the doctor doesn't, because we are not supposed to see the Aadhaar card, we are not supposed to see the age proof. Doctor accepts that age, whatever she has said, and does it. So this is practical. This is not theory, this is practically what is going on.
Okay.
And it is, I don't think it is wrong, because we can't take the age proof. No, we can't ask for the age proof. So we are also not wrong, and she's also not wrong.
But ma'am, if a really young looking person comes and they say they are 18 plus, so like, could you still go with it? Like if a person that you think might be just 15 or 14, so then
No.
would you?
If she seems to be 14, 13, then obviously you will say that you bring the guardian. We can't take that risk.
In that case, don't you think that the law is putting a lot of putting the practitioners into the edge?
Yes, we agree.
discretion is there, I agree, but looking at another way, it puts a lot of moral responsibility on the doctor, which the legislature, the person who are doing the legislature should also aware of, because it's highly, one would be really morally confused what to do at certain situation. And if a practitioner is naive and young and just into the field, how would they take all of this?
Yes, this is there. Then there are government hospitals, they cannot refuse. They will have to perform it. But if it is a second trimester pregnancy, like if it is 12 weeks, 14 weeks, 16 weeks, and if she's refused the abortion in one clinic, she goes to another hospital, another doctor. During this time, supposing it crosses the 20 weeks, then the child will be in a problem, because it is not performed after 20 weeks. Then it will be a difficult situation. So this thing should be resolved.
Ma'am, I have a question, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, depending on the age, the health consequences of an abortion are also different, right?
Yeah.
So, ma'am, why, like, what is I do not have the understanding of the fact. That's why I'm asking you, what is the logical reason behind having this rule that you cannot ask for age proof? Like, doesn't age proof play an important role in the whole procedure?
It is because of the confidentiality only, because for asking for the age proof, you'll have to submit a legal document like the Aadhaar card, and this thing will be disclosed, your identity. Like supposing a patient comes and says that my name is Rekha, I am living in this area. You are writing it simply. You're not asking for the Aadhaar card, no? So maybe she doesn't want to disclose it, so you can't press it. So this is the MTP Act. This is for secrecy and confidentiality. So age, this is one thing.
Also, ma'am, another question. So in case of minor, we need a guardian, but is there any specification about who the guardian needs to be? Like, do they need to be our blood relatives?
Very nice question. Now, and if somebody else will answer, other people give the answer of this question, because this I just slipped from my mind. I was asking and then I forgot. Who is a guardian? It need not be a blood relative. That person, the guardian, can be any auntie, uncle, auntie. Can be any auntie type, mausi, wasi, jo bhi, anybody will be a guardian who takes the responsibility that I'll look after this girl, in thick or thin, I look after her. So she is the guardian.
And there, do the guardian have to provide any identity proof as such?
Yes, guardian has to provide. If it is the parents, still we believe, but if it is a other relative, then we take the I card of the guardian.
I have two questions. As we say that confidentiality is a very integral part of the legal framework around abortion, then involving POCSO, how does that in practice, is the confidentiality of a person below who is a minor seeking abortion, is it respected, or is just like in the process?
It is respected. That counselor is the lady. Always in police station, there's the counselor who's a lady, and the confidentiality part is taken care of.
Okay.
But see, we don't have lots of practical experience of this thing, because everybody tries to avoid such things. I'm telling you the truth. We prefer that if their mother comes and we write 18 and then we do the case, we are comfortable. Nobody wants to do after writing a 16-year on the form. It is very, all the doctors are scared. So this problem is there.
Another question is that, is there any is there any country which has a better legal framework that we can look up to? Like, as we have, there are nuances this complications. So is there any other country which has a better?
As far as I know, India is the most liberal and best. Because I have the experience of performing abortion on people who have come from Saudi, Dubai, especially for abortion. They come specially to India. There the abortion laws are very strict. So by and large, nobody has problems. You just don't worry about the clients. If they come to the good organizations or good abortion centers, reputed ones, they get the good care and everything is fine. They should not go to the wrong person.
There are two questions in the chat. Bhavna has a question. So considering that medical abortion could be risky and that some persons cannot access healthcare service for surgical abortion, what should be the viable solution then? being being a development professional, how do we disseminate about abortion, accessible abortion?
You just Google and see who is the registered abortion center near to you. You'll find the place. Don't go to a place which is not registered. And the chemist, it's not written anywhere. You take it from the chemist. You go to a registered abortion center. They do the examination. They'll find out whether you are fit for the medical abortion. Then only they'll prescribe it.
Krishanu, did you say I couldn't? In what context? Okay, so Krishanu is saying I tried to look on Google centers in Mumbai.
You're right.
I did the same for MTP centers in Kerala or near me, but I couldn't find any.
Actually,
same, like there was an assignment and I also tried that. I'm in like Bihar and I couldn't find like there was in like neighborhood district, but I couldn't find one in mine.
In such situations, you can go to the government centers, government hospital, because there they cannot deny. But I agree with the Maharashtra question, because it's very difficult in Maharashtra. Like if in North Indian, it is very easy and the rules are better followed and the accessibility is better. But in Maharashtra, the problem is very bad. It is there. And they can't procure medical abortion pills from the chemist also in this thing. They can't, the doctor doesn't give it so easily. So it is very difficult in Maharashtra.
There was a report which said that the people who, the people who stock, they've stopped stocking only on the pharmacy people. They don't stock anymore in Mumbai.
Yeah, in Mumbai, it is becoming difficult day by day. That is true.
And Biraja has a question. Is there any effort to collate list of good practitioners across India?
List?
Yeah. I can answer that question.
Okay.
This is Shruti. So there have been a few efforts. There has been some efforts by Hidden Pockets, this organization that works in Bangalore. YP had also done a research study where we had audited health facilities. But if you think you're interested in finding out services within your locality or within your city, then maybe we can discuss this later also if you want to take this up as an assignment for a later stage.
Of course, yeah, because this question is coming from the assignment again that was given, and that I also try to look up in Google and also try to interact with few of like my relatives who are like who have of course gone through pregnancy, and they all said that it's been like 10 years or 8 years that Bhubaneswar as a city doesn't keep like any, they don't have pills, they don't keep it, and it's very important, like, and there are only 2 or 3 government medical facilities who do not provide it, so you have to like it becomes very difficult to seek abortion here. So that is why I was asking, is there any like we do
I'll answer you. Bhubaneswar, we have our presence, the Parivar Seva Sanstha, no? It's a national NGO. It has a clinic in Bhubaneswar. It's a legal abortion center, Parivar Seva Clinic.
We can also share the link website. Maybe we can share it on the chat.
Yeah, you may afterwards.
And Dimple has a question. If the person 14 and 15 want abortion, but her family is not supporting her, in that situation, what will you do?
Family will support, I think so. There's nobody, parents are never going to go against their child. They will support.
But what if with that support comes added repercussions? Sorry if there's a lot of noise. Like repercussions as in the person's mobility, or for instance, if the person is living outside studying or whatever, and then the family come to know that she needs an abortion or whatever, so then they do not allow her to go outside and want her to marry sooner. So in those kind of like cases.
Then there are women help groups, I think, some activists, they can help. This should not be there. Actually, this is very wrong if the parents are doing like that. But I think they have to contact some activists. They will help. Pakka.
Ma'am, I have a doubt regarding if the guardian, let's say if the guardian of a child who is trying to access abortion is a man, and he says that he's a parent, would the doctor check the IDs, or is it necessary, like, is it necessary for the doctor to check the IDs, or is it not?
One more thing is there actually such rules and regulations. We don't have any book written about all this, and neither I have read all this how to confirm whether the person who is accompanying is a real uncle or the father or not. We just follow our guidelines, which our organization has set, no, that you have to take the ID of this and we have to inform the police. So I'm also not sure about this thing. It is a genuine query, but a genuine question, and we should. I'll come out with it. I'll come with the answer in the future.
Also related, follow up to the same question. So if like a person gets abortion, like a minor person only gets abortion with the help of a guardian, but the parents do not know about it, and parents get to know later. And okay, this is like a little far-fetched, but if they have any problem or issue, can they press any kind of charges on the guardians, or could they do any, could they create any
Definitely, they
problem?
can definitely. They can.
Oh, shit.
This is, I think, some question of law also. We can have a lawyer also along with us.
A follow-up question to that. Just that I'm like, things are coming out after listening to all of these things to mind, that how, like, as we don't seek any age consent, so if somebody who comes from a like a person who is in orphanage or per se in juvenile justice care, if they come for abortion, how does it all play into
they can anyway go to the government hospital, no? They have no qualms of going, because the orphanages, they are registered orphanages. The in charge person, the caretakers, they are also, I mean, it's all legal. It is not illegal. They can go to the government hospital also, and that the child will be helped. And one more thing is there. Supposing it is a rape, because it is considered rape, no? If it is on a minor, why a minor has to accompany with has to be accompanied with a guardian? Because age of consent is 18. So if she is a minor, then it means she cannot give consent for anything, for abortion, or for even for sex also she can't give consent. So that is why, that is the definition of minor. So usually these people, who are caretakers, they come to us. They have come in some past, and we write 18 and then do the procedure, because it is very difficult for to write 15 years and proceed with it without feeling the fear of everything, fear of the law. So it is, I think, the doctors this thing only.
I guess we can have one more question and then we can move ahead with the presentation round. And then we'll come back to the discussion round again.
Yeah.
Is there any question?
There was one thing that I was also thinking of, was that sometimes, and we have heard of such cases, that the medical practitioners have given certain information to patients regarding abortions, which I think are misconceptions. So, for example, there was a case where the medical practitioner said that if you go for an abortion right now, it might affect the fertility later.
God. See, specimens, such bad people are there everywhere. The doctor also can be wrong, no? This is personal conceptions and misconceptions of the doctors. So this is very wrong. If it's such things are going on, it is very sad. But like, the effect on fertility can be there. Maybe the doctor explained in that way, that supposing you go for abortion and you land in some infection, then you might have infertility in future. Maybe she told it in this way and it was misinterpreted. It can be this also, no? Because actually, potentially, there is one risk of infertility if it is done in a wrong way, like if there is infection. She's asking a question, no? Athira.
Are all the government hospitals registered medical facilities with registered medical practitioners?
Very good question. See, in our in India, there are in public health there are different sectors, no? Like the smallest one is a PHC, then there is a CHC, then there's a district hospital. If it is a primary health center, then you will not find a, you can do the medical abortion there, but you will not be able to do the surgical mostly there. But in CHCs, the community health center, it is a bigger setup. So it has practitioners also who are medical, who can do termination and everything. And in a district hospital, 101% it is everything will be there. So it is that type. So if you go to a PHC, you might get medical abortion pills. If you go, supposing there is a MTP trained doctor there. If there is not, then they'll refer to the CHC.
So it becomes really difficult, and accessibility is then a very difficult question. Like if that is the format.
Yeah, because see, the problem in India is that the trained practitioners who are trained in performing MTPs, they are very scarce. They are not too many. The doctors, the distribution of doctors as in population is very less, and such trained doctors is difficult to find. So this problem is there. This is a definite thing. That is why these abortion pills have come now. Abortion pills, MTPs, are given in primary health centers by the doctors. If it is complete, the abortion gets completed with it, then it is well and good. Otherwise, she has to refer to the CHC for surgical abortion. It is like that.
So in order to provide these pills, it has to be a registered facility, right?
Yes, it has to be registered.
Okay, so I as a part of this assignment, I went to the PHC here, and when I asked them, they were not sure. There is no
Nobody.
gynecologist here. So so I asked if I need an abortion, what should I do? And the nurse who was directing me said, I don't think you can get an abortion somewhere near. If you have to, you might go to another district. Like I would have to travel more than 2.5 hours and go to a better hospital if I have to get an abortion.
This is the sad part of it, no? It is the truth.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. That's it.
Okay, I think Purnima, Purnima can ask the last question, and then we can.
Yeah, sure, Vinita. So I had a question, and I think I read it on the module, but I might not be correct. So please correct me if I'm wrong. But aren't surgical abortions, like, can surgical abortions not be carried out by trained nurses as well?
Oh my God, no, Purnima, how can you think of it?
I'm sorry, I think I confused what what I read somewhere. So yeah, thank you for correcting me.
No, please don't even think of all that. Huh? I'm telling you, this is the sad part of being in India. Because in India, so many things are out of this thing, no? Rules, they don't follow rules and regulations. Like if you go to remote places in UP, in Rajasthan, you must be seeing ANMs. ANMs are not even nurses. They are performing abortions, and they are this backstage abortions. They are leading to so much of mortality and morbidity of the patients. So this is illegal. It should not be. I mean, you
so
have to
only
spread the word.
registered medical practitioners who say have a MBBS degree and have like sort of experience in practicing gynecology and obstetrics. Only
I
they
think I
can
should.
provide.
I'll just give you 10 minutes of who can give them MTP pills. That is very important, I think. What do you say? Medical abortion. We'll brush up the concepts of medical abortion. What is medical abortion?
Done through medical abortion pills.
Done through medical abortion pills is the medical abortion. But as it is a simple medical abortion, can it be given by a doctor who is sitting in a clinic, in her consultation chamber?
No, it can only be given, like the prescription can be given by a gynecologist.
Who is a gynecologist, and what does the MTP Act say? Who is a trained practitioner? Who can be a trained, the word registered medical practitioner is a word in the MTP Act. Who comes in that category? Who all? the persons, doctors with a postgraduate degree in obstetrics and gynecology, तो है ही हैं. Then उनके अलावा people who have done, doctors who have done compulsorily 6 months of house job in gynae. House job is the, like when you do a next level training in operation theater. That is after internship in, after MBBS, there's internship. After internship, there is 6 months house job. But, or you have done in a residency in a government hospital gynec department. So these people they need not be a gynecologist. If they have done work, they have worked in the gynecology department for 6 years, 6 months or 1 year, they can perform. But they should have a degree. They should have a certificate, MTP training certificate. And supposing this doctor is sitting in her consultation chamber, and if you go there, can she prescribe the MTP pills? Yes, she can prescribe if she has, but she has to display certain things in her consultation chamber. And these things are that she is attached to, or she has the backup facility of so and so nursing home. She has to display this thing. This is very, very important. Otherwise, she might be like sued also. You can sue her if you go to her, she prescribes a medical abortion pills and she doesn't show in her consultation chamber with where is the attachment, how will you approach her in the case of emergency? Do you understand?
Yes, yes. I'm sorry, I was really confused as to who are the registered medical practitioners who can provide abortion services.
No issue. This. So a person, a registered medical practitioner who comes under those categories, all these who like fulfills all those criteria given in the MTP Act, if she is in her consultation chamber, she can give the MTP pills, right? And she has to write in her chamber, displays the name of a nursing home or a hospital from where she's attached, so that in case of emergencies, supposing the girl has excessive bleeding in the odd hours, she can go there. So she has to convince the girl that you have to go to this place, supposing I am not available, or if the procedure is not completed with medicines. So this attachment has to be very important. This is very important. That is why the chemists should not give now, because they don't, they are not available round the clock. They are not practitioners. So supposing you take the pills, you have excessive bleeding, whom will you approach? What will you do? And supposing you are in Maharashtra, then it will be a very big headache for you.
Okay, I think we can move forward to the presentation and then we can come back to the discussion.
Yeah. I think everything is clear. Presentation is not required also now. I have covered everything.
Then I think we can just continue with the question and answer.
That is more, I think, better for the candidates. Come on, everybody now give what is medical abortion? Till how many days it can be given? What is written in the MTP Act? Now somebody should tell me this.
With a what, like with one like with a till 12 week or before it?
No. Please change your concepts. 12 weeks is too big. How many days? What is written in the MTP Act? In the MTP Act, the medical abortion was permitted only till 49 days of pregnancy. 49 days. What is 49 days? How much is 49 days? 7 sevens are 49, no? Means 7 weeks of pregnancy was permitted. Then it was amended into, it has not been amended so far. The Drug Controller of India, the Director General of Drug Control, no? They have passed the abortion pills can be given up to 9 weeks. So at present, the gestational age is 63 days. Medical abortion can be given up to 63 days now. Previously, it was given only till 49 days. Got my point? Everything is clear?
Yes, ma'am.
And the person who said 12 weeks was not wrong. What is it? It can be, abortion can be done at 12 weeks with medicines. It can be done. But you cannot take it and go home and get the abortion done at home. If you are for that you have to be only 49, 50, 53 days pregnant. If it is even 9 weeks, 9 weeks is a big abortion. 9 weeks means you will have lots of bleeding and lots of pain while the thing is expelled. So it will be not easy for the girl to manage on her own. So it is better to go for a surgical abortion. In such cases, surgical abortion is much, much more safe.
Okay.
You are understanding?
Doctor, actually, I wanted to ask, like, are there any complication for people who have PCOS when they do take abortion pills or go through surgical?
No, PCOS means she will not conceive easily. Problem with PCOS is they don't get pregnancy only. So if she's getting pregnant, and if she's married, she should better continue with the pregnancy, because PCOS is a disease, hormonal imbalance, no?
Yeah.
So ovulation doesn't occur. But there's no contraindication in getting for abortion if patient conceives after PCOS. There's no contraindication. It can be done.
Okay, so Madhubanti, I think Madhubanti has a question in the chat.
Yeah.
She's asking for your opinion because the MTP Amendment Bill of 2014,
Yeah.
it seeks to expand the provider base to include medical practitioners with a bachelor's degree in Ayurveda, Siddh or homeopathy. And it was also recommended that nurses with a 3.5 years degree and registered and who are registered with the Nursing Council of India be included as legal providers. So what are your thoughts on this?
See, if I was a BMS doctor or a homeopath or a nurse, I would have welcomed this. But since I have this thing, I will not welcome it. I will say no. Because I know the potential risk also, no?
Okay, yeah.
It is not that easy. This is wrong. This part of the government is very wrong. I don't support it. And I think it should not come into being.
Yes, ma'am. That is why I wanted to know your thoughts on this.
Yes. You can't play with people's life like that only, no? You can't play. It is not that simple. Life is not so cheap. Now this abortion, let's carry forward this MTP, medical abortion only, because medical abortion is a thing of great concern to people like us, because we are seeing so many cases and people are taking medical abortion pills like peppermint. It should not be taken like this only. It has to be taken very cautiously and after consulting a gynecologist only. Why? What are the risks? Now, anybody has any idea what are the risks? What all? What concepts you have about the risk of medical abortion, self-administration of medical abortion pills? 1, 2, 3, 4, please tell.
One thing that you mentioned when I asked you the question was that a person who's administering a medical like abortion pills on their own, they might not be aware of what is the term of the pregnancy. So,
correct. Very good.
Based on that, it can be risk. The risk can increase if it is the term is like more than what you are aware of.
Very good. Number 2. Jaldi jaldi batao. Make the best use of this time. Incorrect dosage. Very good. Then what will happen if incorrect dosage is not going to terminate? Then what will happen? What might happen?
Incomplete pregnancy.
Incomplete or
sorry, incomplete abortion.
Or besides in being incomplete, it can be continuation of pregnancy.
Yeah.
The patient will think that she has taken the pills, she has little bleeding, then she must have aborted. She forgets it and the pregnancy is continuing. Or she might have a dead fetus inside and she must not be knowing, she must be having some spotting. She's not sure what is going on and she carries on with that and then she lands in some infection or septicemia or like that. So you have to be under the supervision of a gynecologist or a registered medical practitioner, then only you can continue with it. And one more important thing, which I don't know whether people are aware or not. One more very important thing which you have to be sure before taking the abortion pill. You have to be sure that the pregnancy is intrauterine. Have you heard of the term extrauterine pregnancy?
Yes.
What is it? What is it called? Very good. It is ectopic pregnancy.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is the meaning of ectopic pregnancy? What are the hazards of taking MTP pill in a case of abortion and in case of ectopic pregnancy? If you are having an extrauterine pregnancy, right, and you have taken the abortion pills, then what might happen? See, number one thing is you will not have at all bleeding at all. You will not bleed. So this is one indication that you have to go for an ultrasound so to confirm whether it is a extrauterine or intrauterine, right? And besides that, और क्या हो सकता है? क्या रिस्क होगा ectopic का? Ectopic is a life-threatening disease problem. Supposing there is extrauterine pregnancy and you have taken the MTP pills, you will have little bit of spotting. You might have spotting. Then you will be sure, you will think that it is over, the abortion has occurred. But actually the extrauterine pregnancy is growing and at a certain point it bursts. There will be a rupture of ectopic pregnancy. It will be life-threatening. So before taking abortion pills, if people are taking on their own even after consulting chemist, at least go for an ultrasound and be sure that it is less than 49 days. It is less than 7 weeks if you are taking on your own. At least this message should be important to everybody. And one ultrasound should be done after the procedure of the MTP pill to confirm whether everything is complete. It is not compulsorily done by the doctor, by the practitioner. It is not compulsory. But if she is not, and she's staying in a remote place, she is not frequently, it's not easy for her to consult the doctor, then she can get an ultrasound after the 15-20 days of procedure, just to confirm whether it is everything is complete or not. And one more thing which has to be kept in mind before giving abortion pills. Have anybody heard of the RH negative or RH side effect? Yeah, excessive bleeding to hai, correct, Aradhana? Because of this excessive bleeding risk, that is why you have to be sure where to go if you have excessive bleeding at odd hours, like in the evening or at the midnight. If you are having excessive bleeding, then you have to know where to go to, which nursing home you should go, which hospital you can go. I was talking about the blood group. Somebody tell me, what is the importance of blood group in medical termination of pregnancy? Is there any importance?
It's related to the RH factor, but I'm not sure what exactly the effect can be. Like if the mother does not have the factor and the child has, then like the mother's body can start producing antibodies against. Yeah. So like I'm not sure what is the effect, but
the effect is that if you start developing antibodies against, if the fetus is RH negative, or if you are RH negative, your partner is RH positive, fetus can be positive, negative, anything. No, supposing the fetus is RH negative, then there is no problem. If it has the blood group of the father, then through the placenta, these antigen will cross the placenta and the mother will start developing antibodies. This is called isoimmunization, right? And these antibodies will persist in the blood of that mother. And if she conceives afterwards, like if she has taken abortion pills twice, thrice, so these antibodies keep on building in her. And when she wants the baby, she will not have a alive fetus. She'll have dead fetus every time she gets pregnant. She'll have a miscarriage, like she'll have a stillbirth or an intrauterine death of the fetus. When you probe it, you come to know that this is because of the RH negative effect. Because if you are giving an abortion pills, you can't give blindly. You have to be sure whether the girl is RH positive only. If she is RH negative, you have to give a particular injection, or anti-D injection is to be given post abortion, post MTP pills. So this is that is why you have to consult a doctor before taking the pills and not the chemist.
Ma'am, what is the case for hemophilic patients?
Hemophilia, you can't give this thing, MTP pills. They'll have excessive bleeding. Na? Any blood dyscrasias, you can't give medical. There are contraindications for giving MTP pills. For these people, surgical abortions are okay.
Okay.
Can you also tell us a little bit about post-abortion care and pain management issues that could?
There are two types of abortions we have discussed, like surgical and the medical. In medical, the bleeding continues for 15 days at least, and in surgical, the bleeding will continue for 2-3 days. So in medical abortion, she'll experience cramps, like cramp-like pains. Abdominal cramps will be there, like in excessive dysmenorrhea. Also, you experience such cramps. This type of pain is there. It can be handled with antispasmodics or some NSAID drugs also. No, even like Brufen also will benefit, and Meftal it will be beneficial. She can take some heart fermentation. Right, and post surgical abortion, the problem doesn't last for long. The problem is pain and bleeding is there for only 1 or 2 days. Maybe she doesn't have any problem on the next day only after surgical abortion. Surgical abortion is, if done properly, if done by a proper person in a proper way, it is more safe than the medical abortion. But it has to be done by the qualified and the trained person only.
Yeah.
But that is not possible because you won't find such trained people everywhere in even the remote places. You will not be able to find. No? So medical abortion should be given, but cautiously and supervised after the procedure, whether it is complete or not.
I wanted to ask, like, were there any cases where, I mean, mental health complications arise or distress post-abortion?
Not post-abortion exactly, but during the procedure only, there can be complications related to anesthesia. Because anesthesia is given in surgical abortion, you give some anesthesia, there can be problems due to that. Plus, if it is a surgical abortion, or even if it is a medical abortion, and if you are she has a surgery on the uterus beforehand, like the uterus is scarred, she has one issue, she has one baby, she has 2 operations, previous cesarean sections, and then she takes goes for abortion, then it might lead to some trauma to the uterus. It can, there can be perforation, it can be even septicemia, infection, intestinal injury also sometimes occurs if done wrongly. So they are potentially risky cases, no? Previous cesarean for abortion.
And so when we are talking about counseling, is psychotherapy or such services also included as part of?
Very important. You have to assure her that this is not something very dangerous you have come for, and like you have come to the correct person, and the person should satisfy all the queries and the questions of the client before proceeding with it. And psychological counseling is very, very important. Like I'm telling you one thing, we are doing the procedures, the surgical abortions, 99% the clients, they comfortably go home without feeling anything, because we have given them local anesthesia. So the effect is there for the time we are doing the procedure. After that, they are fine, they go home.
I think I lost my connection.
I think mine.
I think you were okay.
My internet was slow. It popped up. Now it's okay, I think.
Okay.
Can you repeat the last? The last 2-3 lines. I think I missed it.
Previous cesarean wala.
Yeah, I mean,
like if the client patient has previous cesarean sections, like any operation on the uterus. So what is the uterus? When is the incision given on the uterus? During the cesarean section, or during any operation on the uterus, like the myomectomy operation, fibroids are there, no? So you cut the fibroids. So if she conceives after that and you are giving abortion medications, or you're doing surgical abortions on that, that is a risky case. It might lead to some trauma to the uterus if done improperly. And one more danger of abortion is post-abortion, you might land in some infection, or you might land in infertility in future if there is infection. So everything has to be done under antibiotic cover. But medical abortion, you don't need to take any antibiotics.
And what kind of infections are we talking about?
Like if it is, we introduce the surgical uterus, and if it already she has taken abortion pill, suppose, and it is an incomplete abortion, already the blood is it harbors infection, is a the dead fetus is there, it will lead to infection. So it has to be done under antibiotic cover.
Okay. I think there's a question in chat.
Yeah.
Altira has asked, I'm not really sure about this question, but I have these doubts. How long does it usually take for a pregnant person to realize they might be pregnant? And if by any chance they realize it before 42 days, when there is no heartbeat, does it still come under MTP? If it doesn't, how does the person get an abortion?
See, if you are overdue, supposing you are 2 days overdue also. Overdue means you have missed your period even for 2 days, and you get the urine pregnancy test done. It detects the HCG. HCG is detected in the urine when the person is pregnant. Then also, if you take abortion pills, it will not grow only that fetus. So medical abortion can be given up to 49 days or up to 63 days. Not the lesser limit is not there. You can take it even after 1 or 2 days overdue. The lower limit has not been specified. At what duration you can take. You can take even if she's 1 day overdue.
So
if the pregnancy is confirmed.
Medical termination, it comes under MTP, right?
It comes under MTP only.
So
because
the
if
initial,
there is some
the initial
problem,
discussion,
like if
I need a clarification regarding the initial discussions were how MTP is different from abortion and how the heartbeat of the fetus is a matter of concern. So I don't understand when the fetus is 42 days or below, and there is
then
no heartbeat.
there won't be heartbeat. When it is 7, 6 or 42 days, there will be heartbeat, pakka. But you will not know about the heartbeat because you have not done the ultrasound. But you don't have any problem, no? You don't have symptoms of abortion. You don't have any bleeding, because if the fetus is not okay inside, you will have spotting, you'll have blackish, brownish discharge. So if that symptom is not there, even if she gets an ultrasound done, it can be either an early pregnancy or a missed abortion or a miscarriage. So this, except in this early pregnancy, there can never be a confusion. If the heartbeat comes at 6 weeks, it has to continue being there, not till the term pregnancy. So this question, if there are 2 types of people, there are 2 pregnancies. One is 7 weeks with a cardiac activity. One is a 7 weeks without cardiac activity. This question is for those people, not for this very early pregnancy. Because in very early pregnancy, heartbeat will come at a particular time only, no? Not, nahi samjhe?
Yeah, ma'am. Good.
Tira, samjhe?
Yeah, I got it, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay.
If I may, I think the confusion is that when we were talking about the heartbeat of the fetus, and we were saying that abortion is there when it is considered abortion when the heartbeat might not be there, but MTP comes into practice when heartbeat is definitely there.
Yeah, because MTP Act says that you cannot abort a alive pregnancy without being under the without fulfilling all the criteria of MTP Act, right? The alive fetus, if it is alive, if it is proved that it is alive, then it comes under MTP. If it is not alive, then it comes under abortion, other abortion. It's nothing complicated. You have heard of the term miscarriage. You have heard of people having a spontaneous miscarriage, no? So this is spontaneous miscarriage is other abortion, and induced miscarriage, induced abortion is a medical termination. We induce it now.
Yes.
Either we
Yes.
induce it medically or surgically.
So if there is a case that a person is 4 weeks pregnant and is has found out that they are pregnant and wants to get it terminated, they will still be going to a registered medical practitioner to get the pill, or however the procedure is going to go.
Yes.
So will that not be considered under MTP?
It will be MTP only, because
At
there
4
is no
weeks as well.
Because there is no reason to show that it is not alive. No, there is no symptom or sign to show that it is not alive. If you have early pregnancy and you don't have any bleeding, then it will be a live pregnancy by all means. No. If you have dead fetus, then you will have some indication. The nature will give you some indication. There will be pain abdomen, there will be bleeding, there will be spotting. Something will be there, no?
Okay.
And if that is the condition, then the doctor will get an ultrasound done and then confirm whether it is alive or not. If it is alive, then it will be MTP. The doctor will fill that particular form. If it is not alive, the doctor will fill the other form, which says it is other abortion.
And should one consult when they are trying to access emergency contraceptive pill? What is your advice?
It should be taken within 72 hours, no? But actually, practically, it should be taken within 12 hours only. It is not a foolproof contraceptive method. And it, if one sexual act is covered by the emergency pregnancy pill only. Like you take the emergency pill after the act, then only it will be helpful. If you take the emergency pill just now and if the act is done after that, then it will not help. One thing is very typical in this emergency pills, and it is to be taken 12 hours only within the unprotected act.
And should one consult?
No, it can be taken on your own also. You need not consult anybody. It is very safe to take on your own.
Okay.
Can the state governments regulate whether they should keep a record documents or something regarding these emergency contraceptives?
No. They can be taken by anybody. No records, nowhere.
Okay, so does the medical stores or does the private stores themselves try to document it, or
No, nobody documents. It can be taken by anybody.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Have there been cases of abortion seekers coming to you with any kind of myths and misconceptions? And
nowadays
how do you
people are very
handle
well. No, I think now people have become very in that cities like Delhi. They know everything. They know most of the things.
Okay.
Somebody was asking what Saheli, Surbhi, I think. Surbhi.
No, I think Krishanu has written Saheli is.
What is Saheli? Now you tell you people tell me what concepts you have about this tablet Saheli.
It is an their progesterone.
No. Saheli is a non-hormonal contraceptive pill. Okay. It is a non-hormonal pill. It has a salt called centchroman. And the beauty of Saheli is that it is an indigenous product of India. It was manufactured by CDRI Lucknow. It's our research product, India's. It is a contraceptive pill. It's a once a week pill. Once a week, it has to be taken. For the first 3 months, it is taken twice a week, and then it has to be taken once a week.
And does it not have any kind of side effects?
It has no side effect. Except for irregular periods, it doesn't have any side effect. But it is not a very popular one because it has to be taken at a particular time only, no? Twice a week. So people are not very, no consultation is also not required. You can take it. It has to be taken from the first day of period. Like if you have period on Monday, then you take on Monday, and Tuesday, Wednesday is a break day, and then Thursday, Monday, Thursday will become your cycle. And after 3 months, it will be taken every Monday only. So it is a contraceptive pill, not an abortion pill.
Okay. Okay, there is one question that a participant wanted me to ask, but they could not be present here today. She wanted to know that does abortion affect IVFs later in life?
Abortion might lead to IVF, no? Repeated abortions might be the cause for you seeking an IVF.
Oh.
When is IVF done? IVF is done when the tubes are blocked. Both the fallopian tubes are blocked, right? And the fallopian tubes, how will they be blocked? By the infection. And how will you have the infection? By the sexually transmitted infections, and more they flare up due to abortion. So abortion might land you in IVF. But there won't be any problem with IVF. It's not a relevant question.
Okay. Okay, so can we also talk about some kinds of contraceptions which will require a medical practitioner, for example, LARGs, copper T and stuff like that? And is there any kind of procedure for it in terms of, again, what the doctor can ask, what the doctor cannot ask, what the doctor must ask you, and things like that?
Okay. The contraceptives are of two types. No? We can divide contraceptives into two. Like it can be a hormonal contraception, it can be a non-hormonal. So non-hormonal is most commonly known one is the barrier contraception. Barrier contraception means the condoms. They can be female condoms, they can be male condoms. Male condoms are more famous. Female condoms, people don't know much about it. And the hormonal contraception, they can be, am I fast? I'll slow down a bit.
No, I think it's okay.
It's okay, na? Like overall, yes, overall G, overall L, they are similar pills. The progesterone is different. Some Athira was asking, no?
Yeah, Athira was asking if Maladi is similar to Saheli.
Yeah, Maladi is okay, but Maladi has lots of more dose of estrogen. So we don't have, I mean, estrogen is not very well tolerated by the ladies. It leads to lots of nausea, vomiting. So there are better pills nowadays. Low dose hormonal pills are better. So they can be taken.
Okay.
And the hormonal pills can be Novolon, Tricular. So many things are there. And hormonal pills can be this thing also. There can be hormonal injections can be taken also. These injections are called dipomethylhydroxyprogesterone acetate injections. They are thrice a month. They can be taken thrice a month. There are once in a month also. Some implants are also there. Contraceptive patches are there. There are different type of hormones. Before selecting a client, what is best for the client, you have to keep in mind whether she doesn't have any medical problems. Like she doesn't have any heart ailment. She's not diabetic. People can be diabetic, hypertensive. She can have a heart problem. They cannot be given hormonal contraceptives, right? But non-hormonal can be given. And the intrauterine contraceptive devices are also there. They are of two types. One is non-hormonal devices, one is hormonal device. The non-hormonal devices you must be knowing by the name of copper T or multi-load.
Yeah.
But they are not very advisable for the unmarried girls. I should not say unmarried, but for the nulliparous who don't have any issues. But if you have one child, then you should go for these intrauterine devices. They are very good and they suit mostly.
Sorry, why are you saying that it is not a very good option for someone who has not had a child yet?
Because see, if there is infection inside the uterus, some infections are there in the vagina. They dwell in the vagina only. These infections, like some chlamydia and some yeast, etc. Might be there in the vagina. They can go inside the uterus through the intrauterine device, and then if they enter the uterus, they might enter the tubes leading to future infertility. So they are not very advisable to nulliparous clients. Hormonals are better for unmarried, for nullipara. Like pills, no, they are better for nulliparous people.
Okay.
Or better still is condoms, because condoms, they prevent you from sexually transmitted infections also. So they are also very nice, good. So what else?
Actually, I mean, it didn't, sorry, can you clarify? So if one didn't have pregnancy before, and then if they do go for intrauterine device, can't chlamydia go through the IUD?
Yeah, so you should, for the person who's, the doctor is inserting the intrauterine device, she'll check whether there is this thing is not there, no, this infection is not there. If there is infection in the uterus, she will insert, not insert only. So this is for the doctor to see, no?
Oh, so okay, so does first pregnancy then is that a determining factor? Then it's not, right?
Yeah,
it is.
Actually, if there is one baby, then you are not very much worried about the infertility part, no? The doctor is also not very worried. So the intrauterine devices are okay. Besides that, one more thing is there, no? The mouth of the uterus, the cervix, which is called, is a pinpoint thing, and a multilode, if it has to be inserted, it has to be little more than pinpoint. So the procedure inserting the multilode will be little painful for the nulliparous girl, and it won't be painful for the multiparous. So this is also one reason.
Okay.
And like multilode, it lasts for 5 years. It has to, you have to go to a doctor, and you have to, for removal and insertion both, right? You can't do it on your own. And supposing the thread gets torn, sometimes this also thing occurs, no? There's a thread of the intrauterine device. Supposing that thread breaks, then you can't take out the intrauterine device cannot be taken out. It can pierce the uterus through and through also. One potential probability is there. So it is better not to go for intrauterine devices for nullipara people. Implants, yeah, there are implants are available in India now. It is Implanon is quite expensive. So it is given in the form of a small, you give a small nick, a small cut is given in the upper arm, and then this plastic device carrying a hormone is inserted, and it has to be taken out after 3 years.
But is there any such clause for implants as well, that someone who's not had a pregnancy yet might be affected? Okay.
No. Okay. For that, medical issues should not be there. Heart problem, diabetes, hypertension, because it is hormone, no? It is being released inside the body.
Okay. Do we have any other questions?
Doctor, what are some of the misconceptions that abortion seekers might have come with to you regarding abortion, if you can share?
Misconceptions, like it will cause infertility, it will be painful, or any unknown fears. They have unknown fears.
And ma'am, what are the implications for minors, like when they undergo an abortion? What can the side effects be?
See, if it is a big abortion, like if it is a second trimester abortion, second trimester means more than 12 weeks, 3 months, more than 3 months and less than 5 months. So if it is that big, then the chances are that it might not abort nicely, like completely it doesn't abort. Then you have to do some surgery also. There is potential of some surgery also, no? So this is a risky thing for the minors, because their body, the cervix, the uterus, they are not properly formed yet. They are just a developing stage.
So can it also interfere with their fertility later in life?
Yeah. But as such, if done properly, no effect on fertility will be there.
Since we were speaking of misconceptions that patients might come in with, I've heard that a lot of times when people do not have enough information, they resort to either like ECPs, thinking that they will result in abortion. So from your personal experience, has that happened a lot? Or is there some general confusion around ECPs and medical abortion pills?
No, nowadays everybody knows that ECPs are for MTP, not for MTP. They abortion pills they take without consulting the doctor, but educated girls they don't take. They come to the doctor only. The lower class, no, they are taking buying from the chemist and having and spoiling their cases. But the educated people, they come directly. They're not confused with EC pills. They are known emergency pill. Mostly people know that emergency pill is a contraception and this is an abortion pill. It's not very common that misconception is there. Other questions?
I don't think there are any other questions.
I think we've covered a lot of it.
Yeah.
Most of the things have been covered.
Pardon?
I think most of the things have been covered.
Yeah, one more important thing is after abortion, the provider should lay a stress on contraception. This is the most important thing. Post-procedure counseling is very, very important.
Okay.
The client, the girl has to understand that, has to be made understood that this is abortion is not good for the health. Contraception before the procedure is a much some sensible thing to do than to go for abortion. So you have to give a suitable contraceptive advice post-abortion. This is the most important part of the post-abortion care, a post-abortion counseling.
Right.
Okay.
So I think before we close, I did want to say one thing. Dr. Sushma, this was a very informative session and you talked about it very holistically. So one thing is that in YP Foundation, we are part of many networks which work on abortion rights.
Right.
So one thing on the law is that, there are other countries, because in between when we were talking about the law, I think there are other countries which do have progressive laws. So, for example, UK, the gestational limit is much higher than India. Even countries like Canada and Australia have good laws. And we've been discussing about the legal aspect also. So one thing I did want to clarify, because everybody's also going through other modules, and we had Anubha Rastogi, who's a lawyer, last week, that there are different models in each country. And, there are other countries that may have better laws than India or different laws than India. So I did want to clarify that as one thing. And I think we understand the point that you made about the medical abortion, that it is important that it is not taken without any supervision.
Yeah.
And, the person should be able to access abortion pills, and they should also go through post-abortion care after that, post-abortion counseling, post-abortion care. So that is also one very important thing in terms of medical abortion. But I think one other thing is availability of abortion pills on pharmacies and chemists. So from what we have seen, a lot of states like Maharashtra do not have easy availability of the pills.
Yeah.
But we do think that stocking it up in pharmacies will probably improve the access to the pills. So that's also one aspect that we need to look into, because probably just banning or pharmacies not stocking it up will also reduce access to abortion care. So I think that is also one important aspect. But
One thing, Yeah, one thing I should tell everybody, that there are situations during counseling when there is a difficult situation. Like if the woman, she doesn't talk at all, she cries. What should the counselor do then? And supposing the girl says that I don't want to get an abortion done, then what? And the relatives that, and I mean the whatever accompanying person will say that she is not married. Yeah, this is the situation. She should get an abortion, and she's not willing. What should the provider do? It's very difficult situation for the provider. Then what should be done? Supposing she is crying, she is not relaxed.
Anybody wants to answer?
I mean, firstly, if I can answer this, I feel like being with the patient, sorry, the client at the moment is going to be very important. But at the same time, if they do not fill the consent form, or like, they don't give their own consent, then I don't think that like we can go ahead with it. But in such situations, you can try to stay with the client.
I couldn't hear the whole thing because the internet is giving trouble now. One thing is definite, that if the client doesn't want the abortion herself, if she is not willing, nobody can force her. She has to be convinced before proceeding. She has to come out with the thing that I am willing to go for it. If she says that then you have to understand what some social things are there. Like she's not married, but still she doesn't want to go for abortion. Why she is doing like that? So the counselor has to be very sensitive, and she should make the girl come out with the reason. Make her understand everything, but the decision has finally to be of the girl only. It cannot be forced upon her. So this also thing we should keep in mind as part of a good counseling.
Yeah, right.
I'll tell you one interesting incident. What happened? One patient came for abortion to me. She was, I think, 3 months pregnant, was more than 3 or 4. She came with somebody, and she said that I'm not married, and he's my friend or whatever. So we started the procedure. We gave her one tablet, and we called her day after. The day after she came, and before we started the procedure, she told me that, madam, that particular tablet which you gave me 48 hours before, I didn't consume it. I threw it. I don't want the abortion. So now the story unfolded. Then we came to know that why she wanted, because that person was already married, and she wanted so to keep the babies, to just hold him. So it is sometimes such situations are very tricky. You don't know what to do. You should agree to her wishes, or you should listen to the person accompanying the client. So these things are handled only with experience and with empathy. Then only you can handle such situations. So you have to keep an open mind, and you have to be very sensitive if you are a provider. You are sitting in the provider's chair. This is very important for a doctor who's performing abortion. Sometimes they are very careless. No, actually, doctors are like that. They say wrong things. They'll be use bad words for the girl, so it becomes very traumatic for the girl. So one has to be like comfortable with the person, doctor whom we are consulting, and then only you should go. Otherwise, you switch the doctor, go to somebody else.
Yeah.
Dr. Sushma, I also just had one question. I'm sorry. I'll just try and wind up quickly. So when you're talking about the people that often accompany pregnant persons, so in that case, if there is like a level of coercion from the people who are accompanying the pregnant person, is there no provision in law, or is there no way the providers can sort of make sure that it's the pregnant person's decision that is the ultimate decision, and there is no sort of coercion that is happening? Because I feel like in India it is a very common occurrence, even if you're like an adult.
You have to like the provider has to be sensitive. No, if you have experience, you understand by the body language only. whether the girl is feeling just scared or there is something else in her mind. There are many instances. I have seen many cases. I've done thousands of abortions, so I have seen all types of patients. I've seen one girl who was crying all the time. She was crying. She didn't speak at all. She did not open her mouth only. She was willing for abortion, but she was trembling like anything. We didn't do the abortion. We thought I don't know what's the problem. Some people were accompanying who said we are guardians. She was of the correct age also at 19, 20. Then we realized that she was being molested for a long time, and she was an orphan. She was working with these people, and so she had no choice, nowhere to go. So she had succumbed to this thing. So I think we contacted some orphanages and whatever, we sent her there and this type of thing. So from the body language also, you have to think of so many things. No, you have to do some guesswork.
But legally, there is no provision mentioned about this, right?
No, legally, but the girl has to give the consent. She has to, if she's more than 18. Okay. As simple as that. और बताओ, पूछो, ask people your things. One thing, we were talking about contraceptives and oral pills, no? One thing, supposing a girl is taking a contraceptive pill for a long time, few questions you should, few queries you should satisfy. Like you should, and one thing you should clear, that person, if she has migraine headache, then you stop taking the pills. And if she has a history of deep vein thrombosis, then she should stop. I've seen cases of girls taking oral pills for only few months and developing deep vein thrombosis. This is a very serious thing. Like koi le raha hai tablets, and if she starts having headaches, stop the tablet. If she starts having pain in the legs and some swelling in the legs, it means she's having deep vein thrombosis. Stop it. So these are also things which you can't overlook, but you should know.
Okay.
Or pucho.
I think maybe we can wind up now, and if participants have more questions later on, after all the modules, can we come back to you with certain questions?
Yeah, bilkul, you can.
Okay, then thank you so much, Dr. Sushma. This was really informative. Welcome. And lots of my own queries were also answered. Thanks a lot. And thank you to all the participants.
And for the next session, whenever we have, we'll talk a little before that, okay?
Yes.
Shavik, we'll discuss, huh? And then we'll... Shavik or Vinita, whoever.
Yes, sure. Thank you so much, Dr. Sushma, for all time and all the all your anecdotes, all your case stories also you shared with us. And if you have any follow-up questions or anything, we would also get back to you.
Sure. Right then?
Okay.
All those clear things are clear, no? What is MTP, what is this thing? I think everybody is clear. Because we stressed upon it many times. They didn't expect this. I think, what were you expecting? Please, people tell me. Because this is also something new for me.
Actually, this was a very good session. We were expecting this only, discussions and asking questions and a dialogue.
Yeah, this is always good, no?
We expected a very similar only interaction.
Okay, good. Some things are there which I'll also find the answers, and then next time I'll give the clarifications. Like the country-wise, which country has the best abortion laws? I'll also have to find out some few things, and will get back.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome all.
Thank you so much,
Dr.
ma'am.
Sushma. Dr. Sushma, one thing that I do think we may come back to you with is, providers in different cities. So if you, I know that you all work in different cities, but otherwise also if you have any suggested, recommended doctors, then we would definitely want to know more about that.
I'll share with you the list of few cities where we are working, no?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
We don't have a presence in Maharashtra, no? That is the sad part. We don't have a presence in Maharashtra or Punjab.
Okay.
Okay.
In Rajasthan and UP, we have plenty. In UP, Karnataka, Chennai.
Yeah, it will be good to have that list also.
I'll provide you. I'll share you. I'll share with you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, bye.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye, bye.
Hi, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Welcome. Shall I leave?
Yes, please feel free to, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, bye bye.
Hello.
Hi. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we can stop the recording.